Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, which is the YouTube channel that's dedicated to the construction and development of the Lake Erie and North Shore Railroad, and we've got a good one this time, if I must say so myself. This is episode 25. We're going to start the two-part series in how to build a ravine in a area of the layout. Whole bunch of new techniques. We're going to learn how to carve the foam, how to glue the foam together. We're going to learn about how to make some rock castings. We're going to talk about how to pour a creek. Yes, we're going to do a creek. That'll be in the next episode. But stay with us. This is a good one. And, like I always say, when you've got that railroad soul, you need to listen to this song.
Across the prairies to the sea, they laid the iron for the rails and we ride. They shared their lives, their hearts, and their pride.
I'll give you the layout here. So as the road comes along, it comes to this hole. Let's see if I can get right out. So you see this, we got this hole right in here that has to be filled in. So my thoughts on this, I'm going to bring the road down here. So there'll be a bridge across here. This is going to be a ravine. And then the road is going to continue on down there and up into nowhere, basically. But off this road comes another road here, which is going to service this ethanol plant that's going to be in here. Okay, so the project that we're going to talk about is going to focus on putting in a ravine and a bridge, and I'm thinking possibly some wastewater or something in the bottom of the ravine. And I'm going to use some new techniques that I really haven't used before. So hopefully it'll be educational for everyone. Maybe you haven't used these either, or maybe you can give me some tips as we're going along. So the first thing I decided was, okay, we need a bridge built. So I'm going to stop the tape and we'll go over to the model bench and we'll see what we've done there. Okay, so we're back over at the area that we want to put this bridge into. So I've cut the wood, so it's all going to fit. First thing I had to do was put a little support here. So for the bridge to rest on. Okay, over at this end is fine. It's resting on here. It's resting here. Probably put two little screws in once we have everything in place. So let's just see how that's going to fit in. There we go. So that fits in very, very nicely, very snug. And that looks pretty good. Okay. Now here at the ends, the bridge isn't going to start right away. So this will just be some scenery in here. And then over here, some scenery in here. Now the next thing I did was what I want the ground to touch the abutments down here at the right spot. So what I did then was I took a piece of the green foam. So this big green foam stuff. Okay, now I took some measurements, right? And then I cut this foam and I just cut it roughly at first to fit down inside the ravine for a base. Okay, and then I just kept shimming it off, shimming it off, shimming it off until it actually fit into the base. Okay, so the piece that I was left with is pretty big. Probably can't see it on here. Let me just bring this all the way out. So there's the piece that's gonna fit into the base of the Ravine. Kind of goes this way. Now you'll notice I've drawn some lines. That's where it's gonna touch the wood, the supporting wood, so that's where I have to put the glue. And then these are where the little bases are gonna touch. So all I did is I took this, I put it up underneath. I don't know if you can see this very well. I'll show you when I take the bridge out, but I've just taken that, put that in there like that. Okay. Now, I wanted the abutment pillars to sink in to the ground a little bit, so I'm just going to carve out some of that foam right where those abutments are, and then this base is going to fit right up in there nicely. And then there's going to be, you know, a few drainage pipes coming in from the factories and a few culverts, and then I'll put a little bit of a wastewater pond in there somewhere, possibly a little creek. So it's going to be a pretty big project. So what I'll do is I'll stop this, we'll take the bridge off, and you can see how the foam fit in. Okay, so now you can see how that foam has fit in there on the bottom. Okay, so that fits in there nice. And I've just got a piece of foam cut to the right height, holding it up on the bottom for now. But what I'm gonna try, and this is the new technique, I don't know if it's gonna work, I'm gonna try and do all of the foam walls, everything over on the bench. And then I'm gonna bring it over here and just try to plonk it in. Or maybe I'll do it in two pieces, the base, and then I'll plonk the other stuff in. But I'm gonna try and do it over at the bench where it's a lot easier to work. Now I'm also debating whether the glue is gonna be enough to hold this or not, because there is gonna be some rock moldings and things like that have a bit of weight. So I might put a support beam underneath, like a support piece of wood, just probably a piece of this stuff underneath, just to give it some support. Okay, so look, I'll come back and we'll go over to the bench and we'll start putting this, building this foam. I'm gonna dig some of this out, maybe put a bit of waste pond here, and maybe have a creek come through here, or maybe over here. Not sure yet. Have to see what is gonna look the best when the bridge is in. Okay, so it's a big project, new techniques. I hope everybody's gonna learn something. I know that for sure. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start putting in the foam structures, carving them out and gluing them in, and see if we can do this sort of weird concept that I have. Okay, back soon. All right, so I've put together the first rendition here of the foam. And remember, that foam's all going to be cut back a lot. Right now I've just got it glued. And you can see just on the back there. So I've just lined it up with the lines that I originally made. Okay, now I've left a little bit of play in there because I want to be able to insert this thing back in. And you'll notice if I look down, those are the areas where those pylons or the bridge supports are going to be. So I have to make sure that those are clear when I start carving the foam. So right now we're just sort of waiting for the glue to dry. Once that's dry and I start cutting, I'll be back to you. Okay, so you can see I've started to dig out and carve out some of that ravine. And basically what I've been doing is just using one of these gently and carefully. Now, well, I'll give you a hint here. When you glue these things together, you've got to let them dry. Now, I started to cut when it was, I probably left it a day and a half. I went to cut and it just all moved away and broke out, so I had to re-glue it. But I've left this one 4 days. And then when I went to cut, it was fine. Now what I've done, I'll show you how I've done this. You'll remember I had these marks where the pylons were going to go. And I did that very on purpose so that I could set my bridge in there just like that. And then I would know exactly where that bridge has to sit. Then I can look at how my ravine is looking around this bridge. And so what I've just noticed is that now I'm going to just take the camera back a bit and see if you can see this. So you can see right here, even though the wall is going to be sort of here, you're not going to see that much. I'm going to take some of this out of here, okay, because I want to have that sort of want it to look like there's a ravine down there too. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take one of these Sharpies. I'm going to say, okay, I just want to take off something like that. So take this off. I'll just give you an idea of how I do this. So I'm just going to, it's going to be really hard to do with, I'm just going to try to get behind the camera here. It may shake a bit. There we go. Now you may see my hand come in here, but I'm just going to show you sort of how I do it. Now you can take deep cuts, but I just want to get this preliminary cut started here. And then you can just come in and do like that. Just clean this up a tad. Okay, now don't forget, all of this is going to have sculpted mold on it. So you're not going to see all these weird round ridges, but there you go. Now that looks a lot better, I think. I may take just a little more off down here. And then we're going to try and put a little bit of a small creek in there. You don't want a lot of sharp corners. Okay, now, so the creek, just get the camera a little closer here. See from a bird's eye view here. Now what I want to get the creek to do is kind of run through here, around here, and then out under this, into this cave, which you can't really see very well. I'll just shift that a little bit. See how there's a cave here? So again, I'm just going to take my Sharpie, and I'm just going to draw a river. A little. It's not a river. It's just a little creek. Something like that. I might even have it expand out this way a little bit, like that. Because I am going to put some drainage pipes up here coming in and from some of the industry that's located over there. Some drainage pipes coming in. Now doing the creek bed is a little bit more demanding. I don't know if you can see this because my hand's going to be in the way. So I'll just do it and then I'll come back. Okay, so it's about 20 minutes later, I would say. And what I did was you see that little stream that I carved in there. I didn't want to go too deep because this is the base. I didn't want to go through the base, so I'm trying to get a three-dimensional look here for you. So that's kind of about how deep I went there. So it's going to come through there, and then through that cavern. All right, so it's looking. I think it's looking pretty good. I'm going to bring that bridge in. Let's just see how that sits in there now. Roughly like that. Now you can see river coming around. And the rest I'm going to make a bit of rock formation. I'll do some molds here maybe with some rock. But all in all, let's get a big bird's eye view here. Looking pretty good. Starting to look like a ravine that you would want to bridge over. Okay, now the big test, I'm going to take this back over and see if it fits in the hole. So hang in there, you'll see the reveal. Okay, so we're back over on the train table now, the train bench, and we're going to see if this thing that we just carved out is going to fit up in that hole like we have planned. So here we go. Drum roll, please. Oh my. Looky there. That is going to fit. Look at that. Yay. Okay, let's put that bridge in. See if it still fits. And there she be. She is in. Unbelievable. Look at that. Now, I'm going to just take this phone out of the stand here. It might shake a little bit, but just bear with me. There we go. I'm just going to bring you around, sort of get a bit of a bird's eye view here. Yeah, that's what that ravine is starting to look like. And then if you look down there, you can see the river. Little pond, river going out. Over here, we've got a bit of rock formation that we're going to have. Wow, that actually worked. So there's a new technique for you, I think. I mean, probably everybody else has done this too. I just thought it was new. So, because I didn't think I could work in here, you know, very well. So took it out, took it over to the bench, and by God, it fit. And it even looks good here with I wanted that sort of land to come in under the where the bridge ends and the road starts. And wow, I think this is going to come out real good. Excellent. And I do have, I think I do have a piece of road. I can just, I don't know if that's not the right one. This one might be here. A piece of road I can put in there just to show you how kind of it's going to look. And remember, this is just the raw rubber. It's going to have to be painted. But look at that. She got potential. She got potential, baby. All right. Starting to come together. And from this side, you can see the river. You can see the pylons. Yeah, liking this. Stay with us. We'll see what we can do. Okay, so I've got this set back in here now, and I've glued it in. Let it set overnight, and this is pretty solid. It's in place. I'm actually quite impressed with how solid this is in place with just glue holding it. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a file, just a normal file, and just make sure that it's okay to have the uneven areas, okay, like in the bottom of this river and stuff. But what we don't want is loose stuff. So we just take the file and we just kind of run it across. Now what that does, I'm hardly putting any pressure on this. Okay, hardly putting any pressure. I'm just scraping across, see how it's knocking up some of that loose stuff. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same here. All I want to do is just really, knock off some of those loose areas. You want to keep the same contour. You just want to make sure that any of that loose stuff is coming off, because when we put that sculpting mold on there, I want it to hold and not flake off. So all I'm doing, very gently scrubbing, and then I'm just going to take the actual file and just gently, I'm not putting a lot of pressure, I'm just basically the weight of the file on this. And just anywhere we can get at reasonably. And some of this stuff isn't going to matter because we're going to have rock fascia on this anyway. Any loose pieces off. And I'm just gonna come through here, vacuum that. There's a bit over here too. I want to just get just knock those loose pieces off. There we go. We're starting to have a pretty nice looking ravine here. Okay, now we'll vacuum that up, and then I'll get out the sculpting mold and we'll start filling in some of these cracks. Okay, so we're going to now mix up some plaster of Paris, and I'm going to mix up the plaster of Paris. I'm going to make these molds here. And I'm also going to put some very, very diluted plaster Paris into the riverbed. So we'll mix this up, get this poured. I will take you over and show you how to do the riverbed. I just need to break for 1 second. I need to get some isopropanol. Okay, so this is the isopropyl alcohol, which I've mixed 1 to 10. This is water, and so we're going to put 1 water in. And we're going to put 2 plaster of Paris equivalents in. You just kind of let that sink in there. 2 plaster of Paris equivalents. I'm going to put this top on really good. And then I'm going to shake. Okay. Now it's still a bit non-uniform. I'm going to shake it some more. This one's a little better. Okay, that's a lot better. Now I also want to put some coloring in. So I'm going to put 2 different types of coloring in. This is just a gray off cut or off color that came from one of the paint shops. I'm trying to get the thing undone now. I'm just going to put a little bit of this in there because coloring rocks later can be a bit of an issue. So I'm just going to put, I'll tell you what, I'm going to shake this. Thought I shook it before. There's a lot of shaking going on. I'm just going to use one of these little spoons. We're just going to put a spoonful in that plaster. There we go, that's better. Just got 1 spoonful in there. I'm going to shake this again. Now, it really doesn't have to be 100% mixed because we are going to paint it again anyway, but I just think it saves a lot of time if you can get a base coat down. Okay, so that's how it looks. And now we're just going to pour it in. Oh, sorry, before we pour it in, we're going to put a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and water into the, just to cover the, I don't know why this, spray on a little isopropyl alcohol and water. Spray thing isn't working on this bottle. I'm just going to dump it in. All it is to break the surface tension. Just take that in there like that. And then I'm just going to dump this. I'll be right back. Okay, now you can see that we've got this wet now. Let's make sure there's no junk in there. And then we'll just start our pour. And what I actually may do, just get a little stick to help this out. And we'll just get it in there. Just putting it in all the ones that we want. Now I'm gonna keep what we've got left here. And what I am gonna do is use one of these wide paddles. I'm just gonna scrape the back of these so that they are a bit straight. Just to make sure all of this stuff is filled in. And you want a fairly flat back on these. And sometimes you're just going to have to make sure there's no bubbles. Okay. Okay, good. So just get it fairly flat. There we go. And we'll just put the rest back in here because we're going to use it on the riverbed. Now, one of the other things I think you should probably do, I'm sorry, just getting all this in there. And we'll just set this aside. I'll just let that harden. Now with this, I'm going to put a little bit more water in this. I'm going to put a different, little bit, it's gray, but it's got a little bit of green in it for the water bed, for the little creek bed. Before I get that out, I'm just going to mix this too. Make sure that gets all mixed. And I'm going to put another teaspoon of that in. Now this one's going to be a bit darker because there's not as much plaster in this one. And the plaster is a bit watered down. I'm just gonna get some of this stuff off in here. Off the container. When you mix this, it does fly all over. Okay, here we go. Let's just mix this And I want it nice and runny, the plaster this time. There we go, there it is. Nice and runny. I'm just gonna use the spoon. We're just gonna put that all back in. Now I'm not too worried about getting the colors totally even, because this is gonna be the river, or the little creek bed. It's gonna have a lot of different colors in it. Okay. I'm just gonna take this. Just get it all. I'm going to use a spoon later to put this stuff into the creek bed. And this is a new technique I'm trying, so hopefully it works. Okay, going to just stop the camera, take it over, and I'll show you how we do the creek bed. Okay, so here we are. I'm just going to put this mixture that I just mixed up over at the bench. I'm going to put it on. So I just put it on, and just use the spoon, move it around, get it up onto the sides of the creek as well. And you'll notice what's happening is it's just filling in all those weird bumps that were there from the cutting of the foam. And that's all I want. I just want to get enough of this in there to form. I don't want it too thick because I want a bit of a creek bed. I didn't like all those little bumpy things. And you know, when I painted it and did all that stuff, they might not have showed up anyway. But I didn't want to take a chance. All I did was use what was left over from the molds, the rock molds. And as you can see, there's plenty here. I'm just going to get some up onto this. I don't know if you can see this or not because it might be off. And I'm just bringing it up the wall just so we don't get any of that weird styrofoam foamy look. But remember, it's a riverbed, or a creek bed. It's not even a river, it's just a creek. So there are going to be variations. So I'm not getting too crazy here. But I just want to make sure. And this will also, when this hardens, will also make for a base for our lacquers when we put those in to make it look like water. Okay, so there's your creek bed. Now I've had another idea, and I don't know how well it's going to work. I'm going to water this down a bit more. So I've just added another little bit of water to it. In fact, I use that water alcohol mix. I'm just mixing this up here. Trying to get it, you know, nice and consistent. I'm going to try something here, and I've never done this before either, so this is let's see what happens. I'm just going to take this, and I'm just going to let it run down those rock faces. See how it's very, very watery. It's almost the consistency of paint. I'm just trying to get it in all the crevices because I do want some sharp points showing through. Again, all I'm trying to do here is just fill in those weird spots left by the foam. And like I said, I've never done this before. This is a new technique, so hopefully it works and isn't something I haven't thought of. It's gonna make this look really bad. And maybe other people have tried this. I don't doubt other people have tried this at some point. I'm even thinking I might have to go get a brush just to make sure that all those little holes get filled in. Just remember, don't forget, this is just that first coat of plaster. And it's all going to be painted still. And I'll use variations on this gray to do that. So I'm actually liking how this is coming out. I may go get a brush. I didn't really think I would need one, but it's starting to look like I might, just to get into all those crevices. thing is, you only have a limited amount of time for this stuff. Okay, so you get the idea what I'm doing. I'll just continue on. Hopefully you saw some of that.